Good evening. Saturday night big brain posting. Saturday night big brain posting. That's what's happening here. We are live. We are live. And it's all about how much smarter I am than everyone else, except for you. If you're watching, you're pretty smart too. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here, would you? That's why you're here. Now, my YouTube channel is highly suppressed. My Twitter posts are extremely suppressed. My Facebook group, my Facebook account is currently completely suppressed. I'm not able to access Facebook. So every few weeks, I'll be able to get on Facebook for about a few weeks, and then they shut it down for about a month. And they call it a checkpoint where I have to upload all my information, which I've never done. And then it seems like about a month goes by, and I'll go into my email, and I will be able to get back on Facebook by going in an email, and Facebook sends me an email, and I'll follow the link, and I'll get back on Facebook. And that's been going on for about a year. So I'm kind of like on and off Facebook, right? On this channel, I've already had one warning from about from back in 20. When was the COVID hysteria? Okay, that's when I started this channel, the COVID hysteria. March of 2020. That's when I started this channel, I believe. Is that when I did it? Was it 2020? Yes, March of 2020. I issued in March of 2020. I produced a video, which I still have saved on my computer. It's no longer up here because the information is so suppressed, right? But on the video in March of 2020, when the lockdowns were first initiated, the first week, the first day, I think it was like the first day of the lockdowns, before anybody was talking about vaccines or anything else, I went on and I made my first video for this channel saying that that they were going to roll out a vaccine program, and I was telling people that that's what was going to happen. I did a whole video about how they were going to roll out a vaccine program on the first day of, or the second day, whatever, the first or second day of the lockdowns that happened. That happened during when was that? I mean, I made that when Trump was still in office, though. So was that 2019? I don't know. Whenever the lockdown started, the day, no, that's right. It was earlier than that. It was whenever the lockdowns actually started. When the lockdown started, because Trump was out of there January. So that was March of 2019. That's when I made that video. It was 2019. It was March of 2019. I made a video in March of 2019 saying, don't take the shots, before they even had shots. In March of 2019, I made a video saying, don't take the shots, before they even said that they had any shots. I said, don't take them before they said they had them. That's because I'm so smart. So now what I'm going to tell you is this. Oh, by the way, I am cooking some hamburger on the grill outside on the barbecue. So I will have to get up at times to go check that. So if you're here while I'm gone, just hold on a second. If you're going to watch this video later, just skip ahead a little bit until you see me on the screen again. But I'm cooking grass-fed hamburger, which once again makes me smarter than everybody else, because I eat grass-fed hamburger. I don't eat garbage hamburger. I eat grass-fed hamburger. It's really delicious. But anyway, so yeah, that's how I started this channel. I started this channel talking about the lockdowns. And my first message during the lockdowns was, don't take the drugs that they're going to come out with, before they even came out with them. How did I know they're going to come out with? I guess I knew. Some other people knew. Alex Jones knew. He was talking about it with some guy, natural health guy, on his show. But so here's another thing I need to tell you about, because Alex Jones is good at that, exposing stuff that's dangerous, the shots and stuff. But what he hasn't been good at is dealing with the rainbow thing and with the Zionist thing. So the rainbow and the Zionist is Alex Jones' big. It's his big blind spot. The rainbow people and the Zionists, because Alex Jones doesn't realize for some reason that that is the core of the problem. And if you watch a bunch of his videos that he made, it was all about how the eugenicists were Nazis and they were following, they were Nazis and whatever. I don't want to rehash all of his stuff. But the fact of the matter is they are a, you could call them eugenics, but it's kind of almost dysgenics. Or maybe they're eugenicists for themselves and dysgenics for everybody else. I don't know. I'm not into eugenics. Other than naturally, like you see somebody that's attractive and you want to reproduce with them because they're attractive and smart, and they've got like good qualities. You know what I mean? That's like base level instinctual type of eugenics, which is fine and good. Because if you don't do that and you practice dysgenics, the US government seems to be practicing dysgenics on the population to make it as ugly and as retarded and as stupid and as perverse and filthy as possible. That seems like the effort that they're making. And while they're doing that, they're promoting certain religious ideologies. So the US government has a state religion, whether they want to admit it or not. And we're going to talk about that in a second because I'm going to go and check my grass-fed hamburger. One of the great things about grass-fed hamburger is you don't have to add any flavors to it. You know, you go to let's say Jack in the Box, and they soak their meat in like I don't know sugar to make it taste good. But when you have fresh grass-fed hamburger, you actually don't even have to add any flavoring. So you just cook it and eat it. It tastes delicious. But anyway, we're talking about religion. So there's a couple things that we have to talk about. Okay. So number one is there is a religious ideology, a state philosophy, a state religion being promoted by the United States government, the European Union, and the British government, which would be England, Canada, and Australia and New Zealand. They're all promoting the same religion. They're all promoting the same religion. And that religion is the LGBT transhumanist philosophy, transhumanism, and it's all organized, financed, distributed, promoted by the hexagram people. The hexagram people. So anyone that has a hexagram are also the same people promoting the LGBT. You have to understand that. Now, you could find a hexagram person here or there not promoting it, but at the core, it is that's who's promoting it. And they use certain right-wing hexagram people to tell you that they're not for that, but they're not really. So what they do, they have ways of controlling our populations and controlling our political situation, which is they have certain types of people that we will identify with politically or ideologically that will tell us, well, they're not for that. And then they'll go on about how those things are bad. And then use our agreement. You got to understand it's brainwashing. God, I really need to get this. People really need to understand this. So here's how you get people politically aligned with you is that you agree with them and agree with them and agree with them on certain things. And then you get them to agree with you on this thing you want to do. That's not it. That's not in their interest, right? There's no reason why Britain, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, South Africa, Rhodesia, the United States of America needs to be allied with Judaism. There is zero reason why. But I'm on Twitter, okay? And on Twitter, you have certain right-wing-ish, if you want to call it that, people who are hexagram people who are all about involving the Americans and the British and the Europeans and the Australians into wars with the Jews against the Muslims. That's not our war. Has nothing to do with us, and we don't benefit from it. And so what they do is, this is why it benefits them to import Muslim populations into Europe, Muslim populations into London, Muslim populations or African populations into Ireland, Muslim and African populations and Asian populations into Australia, to mix it all up and make it as confusing as possible so that it's not about race, it's only about ideology, and then they're going to be the ones controlling the ideology. This is what we all have to break away from. This is what's killing America. This is what's destroyed Europe. This is what has destroyed England. This is not our fight. This is not our war. And so the thing is that white people tend to get blamed for this stuff because I'll give you an example. I was watching this Zionist guy walking around UCLA antagonizing the anti-genocide, pro-Gaza, pro-Palestine protesters there. And they, of course, call them Hamas terrorists, blah, 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 because that's their propaganda, right? They go there and then they get the people to get, like, they provoke them into responding and they get it on video and put that so that other people who are American or English and or whatever, Christian particular people, will be like, oh, these Muslims are so angry and this and that, right? So it's a way to manipulate us and get us involved in their stuff. So they bring them here and then they bring them here and they bring them to Europe and they bring them to London through what's called the Clarity program. And then they antagonize us and then get us to support them and their stuff when they're the ones that brought them here in the first place to destroy our cultural unity, right? We don't need to be, this whole arrangement they've set up is all completely irrelevant, stupid, contradictory, counterproductive. There's no reason to have this political arrangement of all these different races all mixed up together and all these different ideologicals all mixed up together and mix and keep it going and rotating and chaotic and get everybody fighting. That's the plan of the hexagram people. And the only thing they will all agree on is the transhumanist LGBT rainbow flag. That's what they will all agree on. That's what the GOP agrees with the Democrats on. So the GOP agrees with the Democrats on the rainbow hexagram. I'm sorry, the rainbow transhumanist agenda. It's actually bankrolled enormously by the GOP. Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is a rainbow individual who's bankrolling the Republicans, all the libertarian stuff. Hold on, let me go get my hamburger. So you're thinking, if you're so smart, Brian, why didn't you cook your hamburger before you started this, huh? Well, check this out. That's a new pistol. This is a 22 pistol, which is super fun. And it only cost me like 140 bucks. It's cheap. Little 22 pistol. Pretty neat. So check it out. So here's what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the rainbow agenda is the hexagram agenda. The hexagram agenda started with the rise of the Rothschilds in 1815-ish, the end of the Napoleonic Wars, but it probably started before that. It's probably been going for a long time. But they had to get rid of the monarchies, and it wasn't just the King of England. It was the Catholic monarchies that had to go also. They had to get rid of both of them, and they did. That's why we don't have monarchies in Europe. They replaced the monarchies with these interracial. Jewish is the religion of Europe and America and Canada and Australia now. So they replaced Christianity with Judaism, and they replaced the races of Europe and America with interracial, with Africans, Asians, different races from all over the world. So the idea is to get rid of the races of Europe and America, and to get rid of Christianity. That was the entire plan. That was the entire plan since the beginning. And George Washington and Benjamin Franklin didn't know this. No, the Freemasons didn't know this. Andrew Jackson was, I believe, a Freemason. I don't think he knew this because it wasn't their plan. That wasn't their plan. They thought they were. So the founding fathers thought when they had the revolt in 1773, they thought that they were going to establish a republic for their race in America, which is going to last for as long as they can keep it going for. And it only lasted from, let's say, around 1780, let's say, I'm just rounding there. Let's say 1780, 1790, 1800, 1810, 1820, 1830, 1840, 1850, 1860. It lasted about 80 years. So the government that was set up by the founding fathers, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, lasted about 80 to 90 years, and then it was over. And then it was over because it was destroyed by Abraham Lincoln and the Communist Revolt of Abraham Lincoln. And it was a communist revolt because the goal was to bring in a central bank. And it was the central bankers that needed a war in the colonies to bring about a new order. Okay, I'm not going to rehash all this history with you because you already know it. I want to talk about modern stuff. So I'm on Twitter, right? And it's all these hexagram people talking about, like, they're like just trying to get you angry at Muslims and fight with the Muslims. Everything's about getting you to fight with the Muslims when it's not your fight. Okay. Some noise outside. Check it out. Here's what I'm trying to say. You are not going to gain by allying with the hexagram people against the Muslims because the hexagram people are using the Muslims against you at the same time. You understand what I'm saying? They're using the Muslims to kill you. They're using mass migration to get rid of you, but then they're targeting you specifically. They're specifically going after white people in particular to fight the wars for the hexagram people. Because the white people are inclined to go with the white looking people. They're not our friends. They're not. I'm not saying that there is no good person who is a hexagram person, or that I personally met that's not a decent, honest person that has a good job, or that lives a decent life. No, there are. What I'm trying to tell you is this: there's an organization, the mafia. There's a mafia. It's an actual organized crime mafia. So let's take the Italian mafia as an example. The Italian mafia was real. And some of the people that were affiliated with the Italian mafia weren't involved in crime at all. They didn't even do any crimes. They were just, they had normal jobs, but they were affiliated with the mafia. But they had normal jobs. Maybe they ran a business that was owned by the mafia, but it was a legitimate business, and they just worked there. I don't know. Let's say the mafia runs a cocktail lounge in Las Vegas, and then you're affiliated with them because you're a waitress there, you're a cook there, right? And maybe you're Italian. I don't know. I'm just giving you an example, okay? So I'm saying not everybody affiliated with it is doing crime, but the people running it are a mafia. They are involved in trafficking drugs. They are involved in murder. They are involved in assassination. That's what I'm saying. That's how America is run. By an actual organized crime ring that's international. It's very, very rich and powerful. That's how they got in control of Washington D.C. Because Washington D.C. loves money. That's how. Okay, check it out. So here's what I'm trying to tell you. All over Twitter, right? You've got people, the hexagram people are going around trying to incite you to fight with the Muslims. How come you're not mad at the Muslims, though? They give these ridiculous examples. Well, over here in this Muslim country, this is happening. Okay, what does it have to do with me? Nothing. See, what has to do with me is when you come over to my country and get me to be mad at your enemies so that we support you with money and weapons and funding, and we're going to have a big war for you. We're going to send our troops over there for you. See, that's the whole point. And so, if some shit is going on in Pakistan that's disgusting, that has nothing to do with me, because I'm not expected to go over there. I'm not expected to support their government or anything. But when it comes to what the hexagram people are doing, they're always involving me in their stuff, so it's directly involving. And it has nothing to do with us. We're not the hexagram people. Europe is not the hexagram land, and we're not the hexagram. We're not related to the hexagram people in any way, shape, or form. People think that Christianity is related to Judaism, and it's not. It's not. It has nothing to do with it. That is so good. That is so good. Okay, check it out. So whether it's Avi, what's this guy? You've got all these guys, right? Avi Yemeni. Okay, here's a perfect example. He's an Israeli. He works for Rebel Media, which is in Canada, part of the B'nai B'rith Jewish Masonic Mafia. So he's over in Australia, working for a Canadian Jewish guy. Over in Australia, trying to get the Muslims in Australia, trying to get the Australian people to not like the Muslims and to help them fight the Muslims. It's like, well, and so what it does is it benefits the hexagram people to bring the Muslims to Australia, because then you'll hate them even more, because now they're in your town and you're like, I want them to go. We never wanted this. We never wanted all this race mixing stuff. Like, this was never the thing. No one voted for this. I thought we were a democracy. No one voted for this. Nobody wanted this. This is all being forced on us. You have to understand, it's being forced on you by the hexagram people. Then they get them there and they're all, by the way, we're having us war with these Muslims over here. Support us. And you're like, yeah, go get them, because we don't like them here. So go get them over there. And then they send more to your town. They send more to your city. it's a gigantic. I mean, thank God, and a lot of people know this now because they understand what the Kalergi program is. But this is how we're being killed off. That's one of the ways. The other way is through the transhumanism stuff, which is another thing. That is so nutritious. Oh my God. I'm just getting loaded with good nutrition right now off that grass-fed hamburger. Oh, it's so good. No flavorings. It's just the hamburger. It just tastes delicious. So here's the thing. Let's talk about Alex Jones for a second. He's like the leader of the conspiracy world, right? But then he went out of his way at some point to not talk about the hexagram people, but to make it about something else, about the eugenics program and stuff, which he said was Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab, who's a hexagram person. Bill Gates isn't. But at the core of all that is the hexagram mafia. It's not Nazis. So Alex Jones fed into that whole thing about it's the Nazis. So what I'm saying is by him doing that is the reason why we're still in the situation. By him doing that is why we're still in the situation. By Sean Hannity lying this whole time is why we're in the situation. By Rush Limbaugh not telling the truth is why we're in the situation. So what I'm saying is what we have to do, they've got the hexagram and they've got the transhumanist LGBT rainbow. What we have is the truth. We have to worship the truth. All people must be directed towards the truth. So one time I was talking to a good friend of mine about religion, and we're talking about the Bible or something, or Christianity or something, or all this kind of stuff. And I told, and as we're on the subject, I told him, I go, I worship the truth only, just the truth. And he said, the truth is so subjective. It's like, okay. So whatever the truth is, that's what I worship. You see, whatever it turns out to be is what I worship. I worship the truth, whatever the truth is, because that's how you get close to God. Whatever the truth is what I worship, whatever it turns out to be. I don't care if it hurts me or if it hurts my belief system or if it hurts somebody else. The point is, that's what I worship. That is the ultimate thing. That is the thing that I venerate completely. I'm all in on the truth. I don't care what it is. And I will speak the truth. And so what I've experienced in my lifetime is that the hexagram people don't like the truth. And their agenda, the LGBT transhumanist agenda of the rainbow, that is their agenda. And they're forcing that on everyone because they want a dark age. They want all of the nations of the world to be ruled by dark age cults because they actually want to kill off the populations of the earth. The people that run the hexagram order, the people at the top of the hexagram order want to depopulate the earth. That is what they want. They want to kill off humanity. So it's anti-human. So they invented the transhumanist agenda, which is both drugs and pornography and perversion and believing that you're another thing, and then indoctrinating the population to all this through public education, through the public education system, all financed through the Federal Reserve System and through the World Bank and the IMF and this whole system that's set up through the United Nations. Luckily, some countries aren't going along with this. Unfortunately, none of them are the ones that I live in. It's all the ones that we're supposed to be at war with just happen to be the ones not really promoting all this garbage. So that's the situation we're in, because they're going to survive and we're going to die because it's a cult of death and all the practices lead to death. And when I see what's happening outside, I see all of my people that I grew up with are all dying. They're all dying off. They're all being killed off and replaced by people that haven't gone along with this agenda yet. They're the ones that are inheriting the earth. So Europe is ruined. I mean, who would have thought that Europe would be ruined? So that's why, when anyone who celebrates, like we're having Memorial Day this weekend, right, in America. Anyone who's going to be celebrating it's okay to celebrate the service of military people, but what did they actually accomplish? Actually, what did they actually accomplish? What did they actually fight for? Because since 1860s, America is not based on the founding fathers. It's not based on George Washington. Okay. If you love George Washington, if you're a member of the US Army and you love George Washington, well, George Washington's government was overthrown by communists in the 1800s who won the Civil War with Abraham Lincoln. So when you join something called the US Army, you're joining the group that defeated America because they actually used communists and immigrants from overseas to come to America to fight Americans. That was the Union Army. The Union Army was composed of a network of communists and immigrants to fight Americans. And that's been the program ever since. That's why they keep importing large numbers of people from foreign countries to replace you and vote against you at the polls to keep the group in power that's in power. And that group that's in power is called the Anti-Defamation League of B'nai B'rith. That's who's in power. And that's what Alex Jones, frankly, has lied about this whole time. He lied about it. He said it was the Nazis. It's not the Nazis. It's B'nai B'rith. It's the Anti-Defamation League of B'nai B'rith, which is also called the World Jewish Congress. That's what it is. What am I supposed to say? I'm supposed to lie to you because then I'll get more views on YouTube? Right. My YouTube channel is constantly being obstructed. My Twitter posts are constantly being obstructed. I know, because if I can post certain things on Twitter that'll get more views, and I'll post certain things that'll get like 1 view, 2 views, even though it's the same Twitter thing, right? Like, and it's based on the content. It's based on an algorithm. So I know I'm being shut down. And you know why I'm being shut down? Because everything I'm saying dissolves this entire network. You got to understand something. There's a way that I think. There is a way that I think. Understand what I'm saying? I'm going to teach you something. There is a way that I think that I have a way of thinking, and I have a way of analyzing information. And what I do, there's a couple things I do. One thing that I do is I find out what the exact thing is, the exact idea behind a thing. Because when you're like it's June, we're heading into June. There's going to be transhumanist flags flying all over America, Europe, England, and the message of that flag is to kill the population. But it's not said openly, and it's not said in those words, and it's not even said at all, but that's the intent, you see? The intent of the rainbow flag is genocide. The intent of the rainbow flag is to kill off the people that live in those cities and to kill off everyone. It's a cult of mass murder. It's a genocidal cult. And the symbol of that is the rainbow, and everyone's going to fly it. And the reason they're going to fly it is because they think it's about making people feel comfortable who are transhuman, basically, that are no longer. So the idea of transhumanism is you're no longer restrained or defined by your physical form. See, I told you in my last video, it's a mockery of God. Okay, I'm a spiritual being. I'm a spiritual being. So I am actually not defined only by my physical form, because when my physical form dies, the animative force, which I am part of, lives on forever because it's eternal. Okay. So now if you want to mock that, if you want to make a mockery of that, then it's an inverse of that. And the inverse of that is I'm not defined by my physical form. And so I'm no longer human, and I can do all these practices while being a human that result in death. It's just the practices are practices of death. So the thing is, you the physical world is designed a certain way to survive. I mean, I already covered that in my last video. I don't want to rehash all that stuff. But here's what I do want to tell you. We're heading into June. Okay. June now is the month of wherever the hexagram people control. June is the month of transhumanism and genocide. Okay. So they openly genocide you with bombs and bullets and killing you, or they genocide you with deadly drugs, or they genocide you by indoctrinating you and your children into being sexually perverted so that you die or that you have an abortion. All of their whole everything in that rainbow has to do with you being dead. That's what the object of those practices are, is for you to die. That's what I'm trying to warn you of. But you already know that. But if Alex Jones would have said that 20 years ago, would this still be happening? Because he had a big platform. If Sean Hannity would have said that on his show, would this still be happening? Well, they would have taken him off the air, wouldn't they? They would have taken him off the air, just like they're taking me off the air. Do you hear any? Well, you hear other people saying what I'm saying, and they're also being taken off the air. They're also being taken off the air, and they're being prevented from posting on Facebook, and they're being prevented from posting on Twitter, because the people that control those means of communication are transhumanists. They're transhumanists. They support transhumanism, and they support hexagram. Their religion is the hexagram. It's really sad to see all these like boomers. Oh, like there was a guy, not a boomer. There was a guy I was arguing with. And he was, what they do now. Here's another thing they try and do. They try to pretend like they're family guys. I'm a dad, and I've got a wife and kids, and I support trans kids. They try to maneuver themselves as being like family oriented. And maybe they do have a wife, and maybe they do have kids. And guess what? They're being paid by somebody to promote this stuff, and they're choosing their kids and their family. And the reason they're able to do this, one of the reasons the mafia is able to use money to corrupt people, is because they make it so difficult to survive that if you do have a wife and you do have kids, you'll do anything to keep them alive, including screw over everybody else in your neighborhood and tell them all to cut off their kids' genitals if you have to, because you're worried about your family only now. But you can't live like that. You can't live like that, because your kids are going to grow up in that world. Your kids are going to grow up in that world that's a transhumanist world, and they're going to be subjected to all of it. That was the big failure of libertarianism. Libertarianism was probably one of the dumbest ideologies to ever exist, and still exists. And that was another reason why they didn't like Trump, because the libertarians were very entrenched in the GOP, which meant we don't care what anyone does. We just want lower taxes. What a stupid ideology. But that's exactly what they wanted. It's exactly what the progressives wanted. The progressives want you to not really care about anything. It doesn't matter what everyone can do whatever they want. The borders, we love immigrants. We love all of it. It's just, we just want our taxes low. Can you just give me some low taxes? That's all they wanted you to care about was money. Oh, as long as I'm making money, my taxes are low. I don't really care what happens. Right? That's why you live in a shithole now. That's why you live in a country that's run like the way it is. That's why America is the way it is today, because of that libertarian ideology. It was the libertarian ideology that told you it doesn't matter what everybody does, and people can do whatever they want. They're grown adults. They can do whatever they want. No, it doesn't work. Sorry. Maybe it'd be nice if it worked that way, but guess what? It doesn't work that way. That's why you have to. So then the option is like, okay, well then let's impose a very strict form of Christianity. Be like, well, I don't want that either. So that's what I'm saying. What you want is the truth, right? Because the problem with imposing any religious ideology is if it's not entirely true, then you're stuck with a lie. And you're stuck with it because, well, it's better than the other shit that we have to be offered. So I guess I'll go along with it because it's better than this other shit. So I guess I'll go along with this strict religious philosophy, which is mostly good, but it contains some lies. But I'll just say I believe in it because it's better than this other garbage. We can't live like this, so we're gonna have to do something. No, you don't. You have everything in the truth. You make the truth the ultimate thing. You make the truth the thing. You make the truth the thing that everybody is compelled to worship, right? Because you can't go wrong. It's the perfect thing, right? If everyone's compelled to care about the truth, right, then nobody can be. How can you blast? How can you be worried about being a blasphemer? Because let's say we want to discover the truth, it's going to take some discussion. It's going to take some it's going to take some reasoning to get to the truth, right? So you're not going to be subjected to just nonsense. So what is the truth? The truth is understood through reasoning. But so with logic alone, right? That was one of the things is they're like you have these atheists that say there's no God and there's no truth and whatever, or they think whatever they think the truth is, and they become like a religion too. It's like a materialistic and everything. So they have a whole logical. So what they do is they have a logical formulas or logical way of reasoning about things, but it's not rooted in truth, and so it's actually not entirely true, but it's based in reason. In other words, you can make anything seem logical based on a certain principle. You can take a single principle, could be materialism, and build a whole series of logical equations around it. That's what I'm saying. So you can take an idea and then build all your reasoning around that idea, and it will all be logical because it will all relate back to your idea, which could be false. So what I'm saying is you start with the truth. And if you don't know what the truth is, then you got to find it. So everybody has to be open to finding and discovering the truth and what the truth really is. And so we just say whatever the truth turns out to be, that's the thing that we hold as the alpha omega. That is the alpha omega. That's why when you read Christianity, it's the logos which is put to death, which is where you get the word logic. And so that's why when you find things in Christianity that are illogical, they're actually not Christian. And it's an allegory, so it doesn't all have to be rational in an allegory. But ultimately, the philosophy as applied does have to be logical because it's the logos that the rabbis put to death, which is where you get the word logic. Logos is logical or reason, the universal reason or the highest reason, which is rooted in ultimate truth. So you start with the truth, and from that truth, you have a whole system of reasoning from the truth. But the truth is at the core, at the center of it. That's the only way you can do it. So if you're not sure what the truth is or whatever, that's okay. But what you have to say is you say, whatever the truth is, that's what I support. And I'm going to look for the truth. And so that takes discussion. That's where you get the word, that's where you get this idea of the dialogues of the ancient Greeks, where they would dialogue and they would talk these things out, and they would hash out their ideas and purify their ideas to get closer and closer and closer to the truth, because the truth is what matters. That's not how our government's based today, is it? It's based on a dark age cult run by the hexagram promoting a transhumanist rainbow death cult while exterminating people all over the world. And they want you to be stupid. I've seen the people coming out of the schools. The schools in America are basically concentration camps for children, where they're sent there. There's drugs being distributed in the school, either legally or illegally, and they're taught to be perverts. So when they get out, they're drug addict, perverts, and their IQ is very low. And it's sad. I see them. I see the people that are coming out of the schools. I see them working at the local grocery store. Okay. Some of them are really, really not smart. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying that because they've been sabotaged. They've been mentally sabotaged. It could happen to me. It could happen to you. It could happen to any of us. Yes, I'm intelligent. Yes, you're intelligent. But guess what? Given enough drugs, given enough perversion, given enough pornography, sabotaged in a number of ways from the time you're, because you understand they're taken from birth. They're 5 years old, right? And they're sent off to these concentration camps that we call public schools. So you wonder why you look at these people and they look horrible. Well, that's why they're fat, they're ugly, they're dumb. That's why the country's getting poorer. That's why, because they're sent to a concentration camp as children and they're abused. The entire system of the United States is based on abusing children from the time that they are like if they even survive an abortion, right? And then they're injected with drugs. Then they're sent to a concentration camp at the age of 5 or 6 or 7, and then they're there until they become adults, and they come out. And you're like, why is the society so degraded? Why is it such a degrade? That's why they were made that way by the government, and the people that run the government are the hexagram people. The hexagram people run the government through banking and through a network of unions and Freemason groups that work together, and the Jesuit order. So it's the Jesuit order. It's actual just workers unions that they control. I'm not saying that they control all unions, but they control a lot of the big ones. The big ones they do control. They control the teachers unions. They control the federal unions. They control the police unions. They control the FBI union. They control the library unions are all under this group, and it's all associated with the Jesuit order and the Freemasons. In order to become a Scottish Rite Freemason, you have to. It's on the application that I've read. I'm not a Freemason, but I read their application. It says that you are obligated. If you want to become a Scottish Rite Freemason, you are obligated to support public education, which means you support all of these concentration camps for kids where they go and they become perverts and drug addicts or hooked on drugs and are literally indoctrinated into the transhumanist death cult and come out totally retarded by this process. They come out retarded because it retards you. I could become retarded by it. That's the problem. I don't want to be retarded. Given enough drugs, I will be retarded. If you drink too much alcohol, you will be retarded. It will retard your ability to think and act. Okay. Given all the kind of drugs and poisons that are in the food supply, it retards people. It makes people dumb. That's the cult that runs America and Europe. That's why Europe is dying. That's why England is dying. That's why Scotland and Ireland and Wales are all being killed off. That's why Canada is being killed off. That's why Australia is being killed off. And while we're all being killed off, what are we told? We've got these hexagram people running around with cameras going, we need to fight with the Arabs and blah, 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 blah. These are our enemies over here and over there. No. We need to do our own thing without you, without the hexagram people. We're not the hexagram people. We're a different thing. We're not racially affiliated with you. We're not ideologically affiliated with you. We're not religiously affiliated with you. So just go away. We're not you. You're not us. Go away. Stay away. We don't want to be part of this anymore. That's what we have to say. We want you to go away from us. We don't want you near us. You're not good for us. And we don't want to be part of all your wars and your genocide and your transhumanist LGBT and your Dave Rubin purchasing babies and your Alan Dershowitz's. We don't want to be part of any of it. It's not us. It's not who we are. We're not you, and you're not us. We don't have the same value system. They like to use that word, the values. Now, they've captured our government. If you look at the Congress, it's all they talk about are the hexagram people. We got to fight for them and this and that. And it's just ridiculous. But if we don't do this, we're not going to exist. We don't separate ourselves from the hexagram people and their transhumanist LGBT rainbow agenda. We're not going to exist. You know who's going to exist? Russia is going to exist. China is going to exist. Iran's going to exist. The Arab nations are going to exist because they're not going to do this. You know, the Asians and the Chinese, they will continue to exist. We will be the ones who die. We will be the ones who die by following the hexagram. We will be the ones who die, not them, because they're not going to follow this. They're not going to do any of this shit. You know why? Because they're not fucking stupid. They're not fucking stupid, okay? The Chinese aren't fucking stupid. The Russians aren't fucking stupid. The Indians and the Arabs are not fucking stupid. The Africans aren't fucking stupid. You know who's fucking stupid? You are if you're following fucking the rainbow people and the hexagram people, you're a fucking idiot. That's the situation. You are a fucking idiot. That's the problem. They're not stupid. They're not the ones that are going to die, right? They're not the ones that are going to die. They're not the ones that are dying, other than the people being exterminated in Gaza or, in Ukraine. But they're going to survive that, unless a nuclear bomb goes off, which is the other thing we have to be concerned about. So that's what's happening. Go back on Twitter. Here we go. It's this guy, Ezra Levant, okay? Ezra Levant, Avi Yemeni, they're trying to get you on board with their little hexagram agenda by getting you to fight with the Arabs and fight with the Muslims that they bring into Australia, but then they say they don't like it, but then they send them in anyway. And they're part of a whole network. It's like, fuck that, dude. Fuck all that shit. And it's not just them. And then you look at, it's Mike Pompeo and it's Brian Mast and it's Chuck Schumer and it's all the leaders of the Democrat Party and it's Mike, what's his name? Speaker Mike Johnson. And before that, it was the last speaker, and it's all the speakers. They're all on board with the hexagram. It's the hexagram agenda, which has been at war. If you want to just talk about Christianity, why would any Christian support this? It's the hexagram that's been at war with Christianity since all these revolutions started. It's always been the hexagram people. And actually, they've been allied with the Muslims. It was the hexagram people allied with the Muslims against Christianity is how this all started. In Spain, in Turkey, in Greece, in Portugal, right? They were allied with the Muslims. Then they allied with the Jesuits. Then they allied with the Freemasons. Always with some group that they can use to get rid of at that time, the Christian monarchy. That was the whole thing, dude, was to get rid of the Christian monarchy, which they got rid of. And how are you enjoying that now? Did that work out good? Did that work out good for you? Now, I don't even know that a monarchy is necessarily the best way to go, but certainly a meritocracy would be good. And not a meritocracy based on the hexagram. A meritocracy based on the truth. Truth is the only way to God. There is no other route. God is the truth, that means whatever is true, whatever is really true, that's where you find God. That's your inroad to God, is whatever is true. Not what you want to believe. Not what you want to believe or what somebody else believes or what somebody else says or thinks. None of that matters. It's only what is true. That is what leads you to God. The real God. That's why the hexagram people are all saying, we're God's chosen people, and God chose us, and he gave us this, and he gave us that, and he says this and that. No, actually, no, you're not. You have a false God is what you have. You have a God that you invented that benefits you personally or your little tribe. But other than that, that's not the truth. It's just not the truth. Doesn't matter who wrote something that says that. It doesn't matter. Now, the Bible actually doesn't even say that. If you want to go based on the Bible, it says that God made a covenant with the Israelites. Okay, 12 tribes. It doesn't say the Jews. It says the Israelites. And who are the Israelites? They were 12 tribes of people that are based on, that to me, that looks like a solar theme, and that they were people that followed this concept of God. Doesn't say Jews. Doesn't say Jews. Doesn't say Jews have a special place in God's heart. Oh, it's just the Jews. Everybody else can go to hell but the Jews. Yeah, that's the Jews invented that post Christianity, actually. That was invented after Christianity. People started believing that after Christianity, after the time of Christ. Then people started coming up with this idea. The rabbis did. So anybody that believes that is following the rabbis. Barabbas, give us the rabbis. Give us the rabbis. Anyone who believes that is following the rabbis. That's what that is. And so you have your choice. You can either follow the rabbis or you can follow the truth. Do you want the truth or do you want the rabbis? The choice is yours. Of course, if you follow the rabbis, you're gonna follow them to your doom, because those are the blind guides. The blind guides who teach the doctrines of men instead of the truth, which comes from God, which is called the Logos. So it's up to you. Man, this hamburger is so nutritious. Where's my dog? Doggo! Doggo! Come here. You're gonna get some hamburger. There you go. Be right back. So the situation on Twitter is that it's not just me that's being suppressed. When I go on Twitter now, I don't see any of the people I'm following. All the people I'm following on Twitter, I rarely see any of them. All I see on Twitter is all the people I don't like and I'm not following. They all end up in my Twitter feed. And the only time I see people that I'm following is because they're ending up in their Twitter feed too, and they're replying to their posts saying, "Fuck you, man." And so I see my people that I'm following on Twitter are telling these other people they're combating them. So they've set up this whole thing in Twitter where if you're against the hexagram transhumanist cult, then you don't get to follow any of your people you're following. You just get fed Avi and Rebel Media and Joe Walsh and Ga'ad Saad, some other Jewish guy, or the Israeli government and Mossad. It's like your Twitter feed is just filled with their propaganda. And the only time you see the people that you talk to is when they're replying to the same shit because it's getting in their feed too. That's the state of Twitter. I don't see any of the people I'm following on Twitter. And then when I post something on Twitter, it's basically like suppressed. So I'm not going to stop talking. But this is why. So here, why would they do that? That's the funny part about it. Why would they do that? Because they know that what I'm saying ends their whole operation. It ends the whole operation just dissolves because it's the truth. And the truth is like a solvent. The truth is like a universal solvent. The truth dissolves all the lies, and all the people telling the lies just disappear because they've encountered the truth, and the truth ruins everything for them. That's what it is. That's why you have to worship the truth. That's what we all need to worship the truth, because the more we worship the truth, the more these people disappear. And only by lying can they stay alive. Doggo! I don't want to eat the rest of this hamburger. It's too much. I have like a pound of hamburger here. Doggo, come here. Come get your hamburgers. Here he comes. You just have more hamburger. This is good stuff, dude. Good stuff. Very nutritious. Yeah. So that's why they suppress the information. It's so interesting because my whole life growing up, I was like, who are the people suppressing all the information? Because you've got this whole thing going through history. It's like generation after generation of the truth being suppressed, of the good people being shunned, of lies. Like the media channels have always been filled with stuff that's very counterproductive, not revealing of anything, but sedative. So the media channels have always been sedative and not enlightening. There's no enlightenment. That's where you get into this idea of the Illuminati, right? The Illuminati is supposed to mean enlightened, the enlightened ones, but they're not. That's the thing about it. I've never met anyone who is a Freemason who was enlightened. I've never. No, I can't say that. I'm sorry. I can't say that. That's not true. I actually spoke to a very, very nice lady who works at the Washington D.C. Temple of, what is it called? The Freemason thing there in Washington D.C. What is that called? What is that called? The temple in Washington D.C. The Freemason, the Scottish Rite Temple in Washington D.C. Scottish Rite Washington D.C. Temple. What is it called? It's called the House of the Temple. Scottish Rite of Freemasonry Supreme. Yeah, House of the Temple in Washington D.C. I spoke to a lady there. One of the nicest people I've ever spoke to in my life. And I actually did meet some of the guys who were at the Scottish Rite in the local town here. And they were smart, but they were, it's not like they had some special, it's not like they had special knowledge. You would think they were smart. They were, they were philosophically, they were probably fairly intelligent, but they don't know. Let me give you an example. Freemasonry is all about allegories, right? But if you told the Freemason, "Oh, you like allegories. You like allegories, Mr. I'd like to talk to this. Hopefully I'll end up interviewing some Freemasons on this channel. If the channel lasts, if they don't just shut me down, I would like to interview some Freemasons because I could talk to them. But the last time I ever spoke to a Freemason in like an argumentative way or a discussion dialogue type of way, which they shouldn't really be afraid to do because that's the old Greek system of reaching enlightenment through dialogue. That's what the internet produced from around the 90s into the 2016 before Trump got elected. It produced this venue or forum where people could discuss ideas, and that brought everyone closer to the truth, which is why it resulted in a political change. That's what they want to prevent. But the last time I had an argument with some Freemasons wasn't with this lady who was very nice, who works at the Freemason Temple in Washington D.C. But some Freemasons they were in one of these. I was in one of these talk forums. What was it? It was like I guess it was Gnosticism, what they call Gnosticism, which isn't really Gnosticism because it's a bunch of sex symbols and it's all like a bunch of bullshit, right? But they think it's Gnosticism, and there's Freemasons in there, and they're stupid too. They think it's Gnosticism when it's not. because they don't know what it is. And so anyway, I was asking him, so you Freemasons about allegories. So I said, well, you like allegories, so tell me. So then you would agree with me that Christ is the King. No, 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 no. Blocked, blocked, blocked. They can't agree with that. I thought you said you liked allegories. I thought you said you liked allegories, Mr. Freemason. So you must agree with me then. Obviously, Christ is the King, is he not? You said you like allegories, but then if I get you to, I want you to vocalize, Christ is the King. Christ is the King of Judah, is he not? Is Christ not the King of Judah? Block. Don't want to talk to that guy. I thought you said you liked allegories, but you don't. Let's talk about the crucifixion. Let's talk about it. I thought you said you liked allegories. They don't. They don't understand it. They don't know what it is. They just know that they're not that thing. And so that's what you have to understand, is that it's an anti-Christian movement. Freemasonry is. Freemasonry is anti-Christian. It 100% is. I've talked to the Scottish Rite Freemason. They told me you can't even really be a Freemason if you're really a Christian. It's not even possible. But what they mean by Christian, I guess, is what they know Christians to be. Now, the odd part about that is that the Freemasons have been running, not the Freemasons, but the hexagram people, the Rothschilds, took over the Christian churches via Freemasonry. And so one of the early people that you can look at, but I'm sure he's not the only one, was Charles Taze Russell, who was the head of the International Bible Students Association, who was totally connected to Freemasonry, who says he was connected to Freemasonry, who says he was associated with Freemasonry, and who says that he was involved in the establishment of Zionism. Because that was what they did, is the hexagram people used the Freemason network in England and Europe, Germany mostly, in France, and in the United States, to replace Christ with the worship of the Jewish people. So in Zionism, what you worship are the Jewish people. It's the Jewish people which are your gods. That's what you worship. That's what the United States government worships, because they push Zionism. So you have Brian Mast and all these other people that are connected to Zionism, Mike Johnson, and they're telling you that Jews are God's chosen people, even though it doesn't say that in the Bible. Whether you believe the Bible or don't believe the Bible, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say. It says the Israelites. It says God made a covenant with Abraham, not Jewish. Then it says God made a covenant with Jacob, not Jewish. Neither of those people are Jewish. God made a covenant with Noah, not Jewish. Not Jewish. None of those people were Jewish. That's the thing. So then the Jews come around and said, God made a covenant with us. We're the chosen people. That's not true. Well, I mean, it's not true according to the Bible. The Bible doesn't say that. Now, in Matthew 3, John the Baptist says that, no, I'm sorry, Matthew 23, where Jesus says that the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat as the judges over the people. But then he goes on about how they're actually hypocrites and that they don't teach people God's truth, but they teach them the laws that are invented by the rabbis themselves. So they sit in Moses' seat at the time of Christ. So he's talking about how they sit in Moses' seat, that they're the judges, because Moses was the judge. But Moses wasn't a Jew. Moses wasn't Jewish. Sorry. Sorry if you think Moses wasn't Jewish. Moses was a Levite. The tribe of Levi, not Judah. Who cares, right? What does it matter? Judah, Levi, what difference does it make? Well, the difference is you said that the Jews were God's chosen people. But Moses wasn't Jewish. Abraham wasn't Jewish. Jacob wasn't Jewish. Was Joseph Jewish? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm just saying. That's one of the ways. That's just one of the ways they play word games with you, because they don't really care about. They just care about their own uh, their own race. It's a cult of their race. That's why they don't care about the truth. Okay, this is what it all boils down to. Because it's all about their race, it doesn't matter what the truth is. And this is something I encountered with the Christian identity people, because they try to do the same thing. And that's what really turned me off about their whole ideology. Was, it's like, well, what you're saying isn't true. So what good is it? But that's the same thing that turned me off about a lot of different versions of Christianity that weren't true. It's like, well, what you're saying isn't true, and so it's no good, because it's only an ideology is only as good as it is true. There is no enlightenment outside of the truth. There is no enlightenment outside of the truth. There is no God. There's no God outside of the truth. So there's no enlightenment outside of the truth. There just isn't. So it doesn't matter how. So you could say my tribe is the supremacy tribe, da 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 da, and that might work for you, but it's not true. And so here's what happened, because the people that did that are the people that gained power. So they gained power, and they use their power to shut down the truth. So there's no truth in the media. There's no truth in the politicians. There's no truth when you listen to the radio. There's no truth when you watch television. There's no truth in the entertainment. If any truth leaks out, they don't like it. That's the situation that we're in, because you're not supposed to worship the truth. You're supposed to worship them. They're the gods, and they're not. That's the situation. And that's been the situation this whole time. That's what happened to Europe. That's why Europe is ruined. That's why America is ruined. And that's why you need to stop following the hexagram people and their rainbow cult, because that's theirs. That belongs to them. That's on them. There's no anywhere you see the hexagram, you'll see the rainbow. The rainbow is the operating system of the hexagram. The rainbow is the operating system of the hexagram. Wherever there's a hexagram, there's the rainbow. The rainbow of mass murder, genocide, and death. That's what it is. What do we need to do? Those of us who believe in the truth, my idea is that we counter the rainbow of death with the image of Christ. With the image of Christ. And so we need to have the image of Christ. That's how I'm going to fund this channel. Let's talk about funding. I think I will fund this channel by selling flags with the image of Christ on them. And I'm going to call them pride flags. So you're going to buy a pride flag, and it's going to have the face of Jesus on it with rays shooting out from behind his head. So it's going to be a pride flag. So every June for the summer solstice, you're going to take out your Jesus pride flag, and it's going to be Christ with rays shooting out of his head every summer. And that's what we're going to celebrate every summer is the supremacy of Christ, the supremacy of truth. That is what we'll celebrate, because truth is life, and Jesus is the light of life. The light of life is the light of men. John 1. The light of life is the light of men. So that's what we're going to celebrate. That's what we're going to celebrate. Not your rainbow of mass murder, not your rainbow of child abuse, and your rainbow of death, but Christ, the truth. Christ is the truth. Christ means the anointed king. So what else is the king but the truth? The truth is the king. So therefore Christ is the truth, and the truth is the Christ. So that's what we'll celebrate. So I'm going to sell Christ icon flags, and maybe I'll sell something else. I don't know. Figure it out. Maybe you like gold and silver. I can get that too. Anyway, See what else is happening on Twitter. So let me just go to Twitter and tell you what my Twitter looks like. Twitter. Here's Brian Krassenstein, a gay Jew, talking about MAGA and how it's bad. And then there's a black guy who's a MAGA guy, Brian Donaldson. He seems like a fine guy, but whatever. Oh, here's another hexagram channel on Twitter. I'm constantly promote. Look, dude, this is what I'm talking about. I don't follow any of these people on Twitter, right? But they're all in my Twitter feed. Here's a guy. Am I following this idiot? No. Okay, here's an asshole promoting IDF, literally battleground IDF propaganda. Okay. Then I scroll down again, and it's Brigitte Gabriel promoting ADL APAC propaganda. Then it's the Persian Jewess. I don't know who this person is. Why are they in my Twitter feed? Then here's another one. Here's am I following this guy, Charlie Kirk? Yes. Okay, fine. Here's another one. Another Dr. Logan Levkoff, not following her. She says she just came back from Israel. I'm not following her. Why is she in my feed? Here's another one. Amy E. Souza. I'm not following her. What is she saying? I don't know. Here's Elon Musk. I'm following him. Lara Trump. Am I following her? No. But she's in my feed. Oh, that's an ad. Okay. Here's another one. Max. Not following this guy. What is he? Oh, he's a muscular Jew, he calls himself. He's talking about Tel Aviv and da-da-da. So why are here's another one I'm not following. Ollie London, not following this guy. Constantly promoting Judaism and ADL and fight with the Arabs. It's like here's another one. Drew Pavlo, not following. He's an Israeli Mossad, liberal, race mixing, Kalergi plan promoting guy that's in Australia. Not following him. Why is he in my feed? Like, it's everybody in here is not people that I wanted to follow. Why is that? All the people that I want to follow, they're not appearing. I got Charlie Kirk, who I don't even really, I'm following him, so he appeared, and then Elon Musk appeared. That was it. All the people I just read to you. Okay, Lucas Gage, I'm following him. I'll never forget this boy. Of all the videos I've seen, this is the one that broke me because I imagined him being my own son. Israel will pay for everything it has done to all of us. Their ultimate punishment is inevitable. And it's a picture of, this little boy, dude. Oh my God. That is horrifying. That is horrifying. Oh my God. Can't believe what they're doing to these people, dude. This is what I'm talking about. Look, these people are genocidal fucking maniacs. The hexagram people are genocidal fucking maniacs. It's not the Nazis. It's the hexagram people. That's who it is. They're fucking genocidal maniacs. They are psychopathic, genocidal maniacs. I will never stop saying that. You can suppress my YouTube. You can suppress my Twitter. You can do whatever you want. You will never stop me from saying that because it's the truth. I'm watching it with my own eyes. I can see it. It's in front of my face. They don't want you to see it. They're trying to shut all this down. That's why they made Elon Musk take a tour of Auschwitz, because that's the religion. You're supposed to go up there. It's like Golgotha. You're supposed to see the suffering of the passion of the Jews instead of the passion of the Christ. That's the Catholic religion, right? Now you have the passion of the Jews, where you don't go to Golgotha, but you go to Auschwitz. And that's where the ultimate crime against God happened. And of course, God is, of course, the Jews in this new religion. That's the new religion, where Jews are the God. Jews are the gods that we're all supposed to worship. This is psycho. I can't even believe this is the planet we live on. It's just like nuts. And it's only over that they only captured Oh, what they did to this kid is horrible. I can't believe it, dude. I can't believe it. The amount of abuse of children and women and men. And it's not just, people always talking about war. Oh, the women and the children. Well, what about the men? What about the men that get killed? You know what I mean? What about all the men that get abused? What all about the men that end up in prison? What about all the men that get abused and killed and tortured? Because that's the bulk of it, actually. The bulk of it is the men. The men tend to get tortured. The men tend to get murdered. The men tend to get killed, right? Mostly. Yeah, they kill kids. They kill women. They kill old people too. They kill a lot of men. They go after the men. They try and kill you. That's what happens. But I'm looking at this child here. It's just horrifying. I've been watching this my whole life. Oh, here's Tommy Robinson, another asshole fucking piece of shit that I'm not following appearing on my feed. I liked him at one time because he was going after these Muslim rape gangs that they have in London. But yeah, that's good. You should go after him. But the only reason he does that is to support Israel, to get you mad at the Muslims so that you will support the hexagram, not to support London, not to support the English. Because if you supported the English, there would be no hexagram people in London. There would be not, all this would be gone, and it'd be Celtic people living there because it's their stuff, it's their land, it's for them. It's not for the hexagram. It's not for anybody else. It's for them. Now, I'm not English. I'm French and on my father's side, and I'm Dutch on my mother's side, and I'm an American. But I mean, but these are my kindred people, right? So it's like it's their stuff, and I'd like to go visit them. I'd like to go visit their land as a visitor, but that doesn't mean I like they have some obligation to me to give it to me. That's how the hexagram people look at things. That's how the people they import in that are low IQ and stupid also look at it, because they go, we're going to get revenge for colonialism, so we're going to take your stuff now. Well, the hexagram people brought them in knowing that they were going to do that to cause more conflict. That's what I'm saying. So this Tommy Robinson guy just totally works for the hexagram people because he's not working for the interests of the English. Well, the English government, ever since it was taken over, supports this, which is the problem too. Here's Brigitte Gabriel. Palestine is not a country. Israel is. Well, Israel is in Lebanon. I'm gonna respond to her. Judah was never called Israel. Judah was never called Israel. That's my response. In fact, Judah actually fought with Israel, didn't it, in the Bible? But here's another one. All she talks about is Israel. I don't need a bunch of politicians and agents of Israel constantly talking to me, because that's not what I want. I want my own government with my own government doing its own stuff without the hexagram people. Without the hexagram. No hexagram people in my government, please. None. Just go away. Go the fuck away. Get the fuck away. Go the fuck away. I don't need you. Don't need you. Don't want you. Go away. I do need to start doing some interviews. I need to interview some people. I would interview Freemasons. Oh, I was going to tell you about that other Freemason. She's very nice. I called the Scottish Rite House of the Temple in Washington, D.C., and spoke to a lady there. I swear to God, one of the smartest and nicest people I've ever met in my entire life on the phone. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Interestingly enough, she was actually Russian. She was from a city called Vladivostok, somewhere on the eastern side of Russia, near Korea and Japan over there on that side. My God, she was nice. Oh, I really enjoyed talking to her. I really enjoyed talking to her. She was such a nice lady. My goodness. She was smart. She had a spirit of love and compassion like you wouldn't believe. Like she was really just a really cool person. Really liked talking to her. Here's one of these Israel ministries. Christianity Today, which isn't Christianity. I don't even why do we even call this Christianity? It's not. But people that call themselves Christians are loaded with these Israel ministries where it's all about the Jews and Zionism. It's like, dude, read the freaking gospels, would you? It literally says the opposite of whatever all the stuff you're preaching. So, oh, I get it. I'm watching it right now. They replace Christianity and they use the gospels as like cover to teach you about the Holocaust, and that's the religion is the Holocaust. The Holocaust is the religion, and the Holocaust is used to promote race mixing in Europe and America and England and Australia, and to justify the extermination of races. So the purpose of the Holocaust is to justify mass murder of all the other people that are all the enemies of Israel. And that could be the Germans, that could be the Irish, that could be whoever, that could be the Americans tomorrow, whoever, it doesn't matter. So that's the purpose of the Holocaust Museum is to remind everybody to kill the enemies of the Jews. It's not to prevent people from dying, it's to justify killing, genociding, exterminating whole populations that don't like or are opposed to whatever the hexagram mafia wants to do. So if the hexagram mafia wants to steal your stuff and you're against it, then they remember the Holocaust. They get everybody to remember the Holocaust, and then like, oh my God, a Holocaust, kill them, and then they got to kill you. So that's how they use the Holocaust. The Holocaust is used to kill you or anybody. Doesn't matter who it is. It could be anyone the Jews don't like. I'm sorry, the hexagram people. Anyone the hexagram people don't like. The Holocaust is there to ramp up the violence, to ramp up the violence, to ramp up the tyranny, to ramp up the despotism, the mass murder. That's how the Holocaust is used. That's why it is codified. That's why it's been codified. That's why the museums exist. You're stupid and you thought it existed because they wanted to stop a future genocide. No. Have they stopped a future genocide? Or have they started a future genocide? Have they done repeated genocides, one after another after another? You're like, well, they didn't do it. It was I was watching. It was ISIS did this. No, 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 my friend. ISIS is CIA. ISIS works for Mossad. It was them. Look. Let me give you an example how simple this is. If you don't believe me, if you have a lot of money, right? You're really rich. Let's say you're a multi-billionaire and you're all your friends are multi-billionaires. So together, you and your friends are worth trillions of dollars. Okay. You can buy politicians, you can buy police departments, you can buy FBI officials, you can buy everybody because nobody really wants to fight you when you have that much money because you can make them rich. And above all, everybody needs money to stay alive, right? So now let's say you want to raise let's say you're a multi-billionaire cult, you're a group, you're worth billions. How hard is it for you to hire a bunch of psychopaths that live in the desert or wherever and get them to go here's a bunch of weapons, and go fight this person. We're gonna give you all this stuff. We're gonna give you some money. I mean, how hard is it to organize that? It's not. It's called ISIS. That's called Al Qaeda, but more so ISIS, because Al Qaeda was more directed towards the Russians. Al Qaeda was originally invented by the CIA. It was a groups of Kurds and Arabs, I believe, to fight with the Russians in areas that had previously been dominated by the Soviet Union. And then when the Soviet Union collapsed, they're like, we've got this ISIS group. Let's hit New York, and then we'll use that to expand or project power. That was the project of the New American Century of Paul Wolfowitz and Richard Pearl and other people associated with Ben Shapiro and Dennis Prager. So they said, well, we use this Al Qaeda group. And so then that kind of ran out of steam. And then they're like, well, we got this new group called ISIS. Because let me tell you what, when they invented ISIS, what exactly was the trigger for the invention of ISIS? I'm going to tell you exactly what it was. It was Iran flying over shipments over northern Iraq, which had already been under control of the United States, right? The United States had already had the Iraq War and had set up northern Iraq and southern Iraq and had all of it organized. And then now what happened was Iran was flying shipments from Iran to Syria and Lebanon to resupply Syria when there was some offenses going on between the Mossad and the Syrians, right? So you've got Iran flying over Iraq. Well, the U.S. is like, well, we got Iraq here. Why? And so they said to the leaders of Iraq, why are you allowing Iran to do flyovers? And they're like, well, why shouldn't we? So the United States says, oh, okay, you're going to let Iran do flyovers. Guess what? We just financed a new group called ISIS, and they're going to attack you. So what happened was ISIS originally hit northern Iraq and started hitting terrorism there, and then went west into Syria and started hitting Syria. That was all run by Barack Obama and the CIA, because they wanted to try and stop Iran from doing flyovers. You know how I know that? Because John Kerry said that. It's hard to go back and find all this stuff, but I saw him say it, so I remember him saying it. And he said it on the air on television. So that's why I know that that's why they did it, because that's what John Kerry said they did. Because he was the what do you call it? The secretary of he was like the Anthony Blinken at the time. What's Anthony? Secretary of State, something like that. I don't know. He said it. That's how I know that. It's not like I have secret information. John Kerry said it. I'm sure I'm sure. The thing is, you search YouTube now, you can't find anything, so you probably won't find it on there. But he said it. I watched him say it. That was like a long time ago, but he said it. I saw him say it. I remember it. Let's see what else is going on here. So we got the One Israel Ministry. So here's what I need to do. I need to do a show one time where I call Christian churches and ask them about the Jewish mafia. Ask them about their connections to the Jewish mafia. Because I would say in America, probably about 95% of the churches in America are controlled, funded, sponsored, at least in part, by the Jewish mafia itself. Like, it's literally funded by the mafia, the Christian churches. That's how pathetic Christianity is today in America, is that the Jewish mafia literally sponsors the churches. And I would say particularly the big ones like Joel Osteen and John Hagee and Rick, the guy that wrote the Purpose Driven Life guy. Who's that guy? He's connected with the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab. I can't remember his name right now. But there's a lot of them. They're all over the place. They're all connected to the World Economic Forum and the Jewish mafia. and they promote that Jews are God's chosen people, which is the Zionist thing that happened. That's the Rothschild religion. It's not Christianity. In Christianity, Christ is the object of veneration. Christ being the truth is the object of veneration. In Zionism, Jews are the object of veneration. Jews are the God. Jews are the thing which determines whether or not you're a believer. Do you love them? Do you worship them? Do you submit? That's the difference. That's the difference between Christianity and Zionism. Zionism is not Christianity. There's no such thing as a Christian Zionist. You either worship the truth, which is called Christ, which is the word of God, which is not a book, but the spoken word of God, which is not a book. Abraham didn't have a book. Joseph didn't have a book. Noah didn't have a book. Or you worship, in Zionism, the Jewish people. And if you love them, then you're allowed to, I don't know, die at the hands of an LGBT cult. I guess. Don't know. I'm not part of that. I'm not gonna be. So here my Twitter, right? Like I told you, I'm not following any of these people, but I'm just one after another. It's one after another of Jewish, Mossad, IDF propaganda, even though I'm not following any of these people. They're all flooded my Twitter feed. And the thing that I say in response gets one view. Oh, that's nice. I got one view. Oh, there's two because I just clicked on it. So now I have two. So yeah, that's how Twitter is now. It's just totally flooded with the dark-aged rainbow hexagram cult. People that I'm not following yet are in my feed every single day, constantly. Here's the embassy of Israel to the USA is in my Twitter feed. I'm not following them. Let's see what's trending. President Trump is trending. Christ is King is trending, and Hamas is trending. Who to follow? It's telling me I should follow Libs of TikTok, which is run by Chabad. Here's Speaker Mike Johnson, another person I'm not following. Oh, and he wants to talk about how bad Joe Biden is. Yeah, Joe Biden might be terrible because he is, but guess what? You're just as bad, Mike Johnson. You're just as bad. You're just as horrible because neither of you put Americans first. We don't have a government in America. All we hear about night and day are the hexagram people and how they're doing and what they need and how much money we got to send them. That's it. We don't get anything else. That's all we get. All right, so I think you got the point here. Nothing on Twitter is what I'm following. It's all stuff from Mossad or people that I'm not following. Here's Ted Cruz, not following him. Here's Tom Cotton, I'm not following him. He's in my Twitter feed. Jeffrey Zimmerman, have no idea who he is. He's in my Twitter feed. All the people I want to follow, not in there. Oh, here's Thomas Massey. I am actually following him. Let's see what he says. Every candidate for president should pledge to free Assange, pardon Snowden, release Ross. I don't know who Ross is, but yeah. Thomas Massey is like one of the 3 Congress people that actually care about America. So Americans have like 3 people out of all the states. There's like 3 people that are working for America. How are we supposed to win that? How are we supposed to win under those conditions? I think the point is we're supposed to lose under those conditions. So, okay, if we're going to lose, then let's make something else, shall we? Let's put something else in charge of. Let's put something else as our king, not Jews. We're not going to put Jews as the king of America. We're going to put the truth. God is the truth. So we're going to put the truth as the king, and we all need to. We all need to, whatever the truth is, we all need to conform to the truth and then live according to the truth. Right? That's how we should live. That's the only hope. That's the only hope for America. That's the only hope for anyone. That's the only hope for human civilization. And who else is saying this? Just like literally saying, hey, let's all worship the truth. Hey, let's all just make truth God and say truth is our God because that's the only way to God. And then let's all worship the truth and let's get everybody doing that. Imagine if every media channel was saying that. Imagine if every school, instead of being a giant concentration camp for the transhuman rainbow cult of mass murder genocide, imagine if they were trying to get the kids to care about the truth and like find out what it is. Not tell them that they're not teach them to be whatever. Tell them to find the truth. Oh, things would change fast if we did that. If people actually just sought the truth and like made the truth the object of social importance, like this is what the society cares about is the truth, there would be no anti-Semitism laws. There would be no thought crimes laws. There would be no racism laws. There would be no affirmative action. There would be no a lot of things that are bad. Everything would be organized around finding out what the truth is and seeking to live with it as closely as possible. The closer you can live with the truth, the happier, the saner, the more rational, the better, the freer. It's like we could have like when I think of America now, I don't think of a place that's free and happy. When I think of America, I think of a place that's ugly, that is genocidal, that is dirty, that is perverted, that is violent, criminal. Like those are the words that I feel when I to describe America. It really is. That's what America looks like to me. It's not what it was. It's not what it was when I was growing up, and it's not what I believed in as a child. It's none of those things. It's not that anymore. America today is ugly, it's stupid, it's violent, it's crooked, it's perverted, it's genocidal. It is all these things because of its religion, and its religion is the hexagram. The hexagram became the religion of the United States and Europe and UK. And look at the results. See, what they'll do is they say, but look at all these gays. That means we're good. Look at all these people that we brought in from all these countries. How could we be bad if we brought all these people in from all these other countries? Well, those people, that has nothing to do with anything. That doesn't make it good. Like making the country gay doesn't make it good. Making the country more African or more Asian or more Middle Eastern or more from Pakistan or wherever, that doesn't make the country better that you got rid of the people that live there. That's not making it good. That doesn't make it better. Making it better means living with the truth and letting people live their lives without you getting involved in trying to basically do all the crap that you're doing. Like just let people can you just let people live a happy life and like have a family and like what would be good being good would be like growing up and not going to a school, not leaving your mother when you're 5 years old, not being taken as 5 years old and being put on some yellow bus and sent to a concentration camp, but being with your mom and being with other kids and their moms in the neighborhood and being raised by your mother because your mother doesn't have a job. She doesn't have to go to a corporation for 8 to 10 hours a day plus traffic. She's home with you because you're a baby or you're a toddler or you're a young boy or girl and you have a mommy and a daddy and daddy goes to work and you stay home with mommy and you've got all these friends in your neighborhood and they have mommies too and they have a daddy and a mommy and you all play together every day. See, that would be good. Not taking little Johnny or Susie or whatever and putting them on a bus when they're 5 years old and saying, you're going off to a concentration camp to be raised by a bunch of fucking perverts financed by the US government that's run by fucking mafia. See, that's not good. That's not a good thing. There's nothing good about that. That is trash. And that's why we have a trash civilization, because that's what they do. See, good would be Johnny and Susie stays home with mom. And mom doesn't have to go to work. Mom sleeps in. Mom sleeps in and makes breakfast, and then she throws on a soap opera and does some laundry and washes some dishes and maybe hangs out at the house and calls her girlfriends on the phone, and they all come over with their kids and everyone plays together. That would be good, right? That's a good society. That's not America. That's not America. So guess what? That's you want to know something? That what that is though? That's the society that I grew up in. And it was good. It's not this one. This one's fucking trash. So fuck you and fuck America. Fuck America. Fuck America, okay? Do I have to say it? Death to America. If America's a rainbow fucking flag and a hexagram, then fucking death to America. Fuck America. Okay? That's what I'm saying. If America is mom and dad, and mom stays home with the kids and plays with the kids and calls her girlfriends on the phone, everyone comes over and has a nice time, then long live America. Then long live America. If it's not that, then death to America. Okay? It's like, that's how it is. Why would I support the other thing? Why would I support the thing that abuses children? Why would I support the thing that hates America? Why would I support? Because we're the Americans. We're the Americans, not somebody else. Why would I support the thing that hates us? Why would I support the thing that wants to kill us? I don't. I don't support that. And I don't fight for it. And I certainly wouldn't join a military group to support that around the world. Why would I want to spread that? So here gets into another thing. Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great was the reason why he was so successful is because the reason Alexander the Great was so successful was because people loved their culture in the Hellenic culture, the Greek culture. It was so beautiful. People loved it. People loved it. And they wanted to, and they loved each other. Even more importantly, they loved each other. And so they were having so many babies. And their architecture was so beautiful, and their culture was so beautiful, and their philosophy was so beautiful, and they had so many people because they were having so many babies. They just had to expand across the world and conquer all of Judea and Syria and Chaldea and Iraq and India and Pakistan. They just had to take everything, right? Because it was so beautiful and their people were so beautiful. And this is something you just wanted to spread around all over the place, right? Because there's land all over the place. Let's just take it all and make it this because it's so beautiful. Well, you can't say that about our culture. Why would you want to spread a rainbow pervert flag everywhere? Why would you want to do that? You don't. Which is why we're going to lose in Ukraine. Which is why Germany no longer basically exists. Which is why London doesn't exist. Which is why America doesn't really exist anymore. Because nobody wants to spread this shit. It's fucking trash. Why would you want to spread trash anywhere? You don't, because you're a decent person. You don't want this. You don't want this going anywhere. Now, so the way to fix this is to have a culture worth spreading. To have a society worth spreading. Our society would be better than everybody else's. It would be way better than the Muslim society, and it'd be way better than the hexagram society. It'd be way better than the LGBT rainbow transhumanist society. It'd be better than everything. There's nothing better. There's nothing better than Anglo-Saxon, Germanic, Hellenic culture. There's nothing better. Russian's pretty good too, but of course they have roots to the same Hellenic culture. See, they all have roots to the Hellenic. The Russian, like Moscow, St. Petersburg, all the territories that came out of the Cyrillic They all came from Anatolia. That was where the culture came out of, the Black Sea region, and the Hellenic. And Helen, what's Helen? Helen is a beautiful woman who literally started a war because she was so beautiful. She was so beautiful that the Greeks started a giant war and just started invading and conquering everybody because they thought Helen was there and captured. They had to go find her. So they literally just went around conquering everybody in search of Helen because she was so beautiful. She was so beautiful that they had to conquer the world. Well, can you say that about America today? No. You ain't gonna conquer anybody for this shit. You kidding me? Why? Everybody's better than we are now. Every culture is better than our culture now. Because what is our culture? A rainbow flag? Butt fucking? That's what our culture is? That's what's every culture is better than that. There's nothing worse than that. There's no culture. There's no civilization on earth that wants to be replaced with that. And there's no sane person on earth that wants to replace anyone else with that because it's disgusting, right? Porn culture is disgusting. You know, the rabbis that run Pornhub are disgusting. And there's no reason to fight anyone to replace someone else's culture with some fucking rabbi from Pornhub, right? That's gross. That's disgusting. That's trash. So you're not gonna do it. You're gonna lose in Ukraine and possibly just die in a nuclear holocaust. Possibly. Or we can do something else. Or we can do something else. Those are our options. Or we can do something else. You know, something else would be building a civilization where we put the truth as our God and we all work towards the truth. We try to live according to the truth, which means doing what is right, being just, being decent, being civilized, doing what is correct, having this culture of truth and reason and beauty and wisdom and care for the environment. See, everything you ever wanted emanates from the truth. Everything that you could ever want, the perfect society, starts with the truth. And you go, but the truth is subjective. That's what my friend told me. But the truth is subjective. Right. So we're going to have to find out what it is. That means we're going to have to discuss things. Do you see YouTube wanting us to do that? Do you see Twitter wanting us to do that? Do you see Facebook wanting us to do that? No. They don't want us discussing anything because that leads towards the truth. They got to shut that down and just tell you what to think and basically tell you to shut the fuck up. And if we go along with that, if that's the society that we want or we tolerate, then this is what we're going to get. We're going to get Pornhub. That's going to be our society. It's going to be Pornhub run by rabbis. And they're going to just kill everybody. That's what we have. That's America. That's Europe. That's England. And then you get these pieces of trash like Tommy Robinson who pretend to be on our side, pretend to be fighting the good fight, but they're not really. Because the good fight would be getting rid of the hexagram people that are imposing this on us, because that's their religion. It's not my religion. My religion is the truth. There's no religion higher than truth. That's Blavatsky said that, actually. There's no religion higher than truth. That's true. In Christianity, truth is called Christ. I don't know that she knew that because most people don't know that, but that's what that means. So they were both right. There is no religion higher than truth, and the truth is called Christ. And Christ was killed at a place called Golgotha, which is your skull. And when Christ dies, you get darkness. So when the truth dies, you get darkness. And you don't get logic and reason, because that's called the Logos, the Word of God, reason. Because God is perfect reason, and perfect logic. So if you don't have that, then you don't have the Logos and you don't have Christ. And if you believe some weird, crazy stuff like a lot of people do and you're superstitious, well, then you don't have the Logos, do you? You have a dark aged ideology. You have superstition. So the humanists and the Freemasons were right about that. They were right about that. They're right about some things. It's not that everybody is wrong about everything. Everybody that I don't like is wrong about everything. No. Some people were right about that stuff. There were pockets of truth here and there. People were seeking the truth, tended to have pockets of truth. So they knew this was true and they knew that was true. Sometimes the people that were in charge of the society were promoting something false, just like they are now. So there's really nothing else I can say about it. I'm going to wrap it up. But the ultimate thing is that you have to live with the truth. You have to put the truth at the top of the pyramid of enlightenment. There's no truth. There's no enlightenment outside the truth. So anyone calling themselves the Illuminati that lies, okay? Anyone says, oh, the Illuminati, and they're for perversion, and they're for crime, and they're for lying, and they're for terrorism. Well, they're not illuminated, are they? Because they're not with the truth. So that's not really the that's not a real, they're not enlightened. There is no enlightenment outside of the truth. That's a quote from me. There is no enlightenment outside of the truth. There isn't. There isn't. That's all you have to know. And with that, I bid you good night.